File item 17. Pass on file. We're going to return to privileges of the floor and Senator Wolk.
Thank you. For purposes of introduction, Madam President and members, would you join me today? Join me in welcoming members of the Dixon High School AP Government class. They're joined by their teacher, Lorraine Brownell, and many of their parents are here. And as part of their class project, they wrote a biography on each one of you, and I have some here at the desk, and if you're interested in seeing yours, come on by. Please join me in welcoming them.
Welcome and thank you. Again, colleagues, we are on Senate third reading, and we are going to hear file items 18 through 57. The majority leader has reminded me that we have a pretty robust bill load today, so I'm sharing with you the file items we're reviewing so you can take a look and see and be prepared when your file item comes up, if you will. We would all appreciate that. File item 18, again, under Senate third reading, pass on file. File item 19. Senator Allen is not at his desk. File item 20, Senator Hernandez. Pass on file. File item 21. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 1262 by Senator Pavley, an act relating to land use.
Senator Pavley.
Thank you very much, members. As you know, California has a number of interconnecting laws that together attempt to ensure that there's an adequate water supply available, and it's given proper consideration when making land use decisions. Among those laws in the past were back in 2002, Senator Costa and Assemblymember Kuehl at the time constructed two pairs of bills that were called Show Me the Water bills, that we had to first assess how much water supply was available before we continued building in some certain areas. It was an assessment tool. That's what it is. It was called Show Me the Water because you had to assess and show that there was indeed water available. When we passed the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act in 2014 that many of you supported, we updated some water and land use planning laws to reflect the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, but we didn't really increase the assessment on really looking at groundwater in addition to surface water. Shouldn't we know how much groundwater and surface water is available when we make considerations of stretching a limited water source? Senate Bill 1262 simply corrects an oversight. Senate Bill 1262 provides the necessary updates to harmonize new development approvals with the requirements of the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. It integrates groundwater sustainability agencies and consideration of groundwater sustainability plans into water supply and land use planning. It's not a moratorium on building, it's simply an assessment that we determine how much water supply is actually available. It may prohibit use of groundwater to supply new development only if a groundwater basin has been deemed out of compliance and there isn't any other water available. For example, there's 515 basins in California. 123 are medium and high security basins, but a number of those has been adjudicated, and adjudicated basins are not affected by this bill. So about 80 of the 515 basins would have an assessment of not only surface water but groundwater and determining how much water is actually available. This bill also prohibits the use of hauled water to comply with the Show Me the Water bills. They actually allowed consideration of bringing in water by the bucket loads or barrels hauling into an area to determine there's adequate water supply. So this is just a smart continuation of a policy that had been around for years called Show Me the Water, to also tie in groundwater and consistency with the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. Ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator. Any discussion or debate? Senator Nielsen.
Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I would argue that it really is not needed now. That act did go into place to show me the water. It has been functioning for some time. And the legislature has passed, and counties are now setting up their sustainable groundwater management districts. With the state having the opportunity to exercise some authority even over local jurisdictions, which I think is a bit of an overreach, because groundwater management has been historically the purview of the counties, and now the state can slip its camel's head under the tent. But that said, these districts are not altogether set up. They have not yet matured. That tool is an expansion of the Show Me the Water Act of long ago. And I think that to keep faith with the citizens, as these districts are being set up, and the citizens are getting accustomed to how these sustainable groundwater management districts in the counties are going to function, how they, the citizens, are going to have to live under them, that we ought not be moving ahead. There are a number of bills moving along now that are going to do that. I believe that's premature, and that's not keeping faith with the citizens. I would argue these are premature, if at all needed even.
Thank you.
I urge a no vote.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion or debate? Any further discussion or debate? Seeing none, Senator Pavley, would you like to close?
Yes, thank you very much. All this bill does is ask people to assess all the water supply available to ensure there's adequate water supply for those new homeowners that will be moving in. Ask for your aye vote.
Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Anderson. No Bates. No Bell. Aye Berryhill. No Block. Aye Canella. No De Leon. Fuller. No Gaines. No Galgiani. Glazer. Aye Hall. Aye Hancock. Aye Hernandez. Aye Hertzberg. Aye Hill. Aye Wesso. Aye Huff. No Jackson. Aye Lada. Leno. Aye Leva. Aye Liu. Aye McGuire. Aye Mendoza. Mitchell. Aye Monning. Morlock. No Morrell. No Wynn. No Nielsen. No Pan. Aye Pavley. Aye Roth. Runner. Stone. No Vidak. No Wykowski. Aye Wolk. Wolk aye.
Call the absent members.
Allen. Aye. De Leon. Galgiani. Lada. Mendoza. Monning. Aye. Roth. Runner.
Ayes 21, noes 13. The measure carries. Senator Jackson, for what purpose do you rise?
Yes, under motions and resolutions, a request for reconsideration of file item 12.
Returning to motions and resolutions, reconsideration of file item 12.
As a courtesy.
Reconsideration granted, 38-0. So now we'll take the bill up. Mr.
Please,
Secretary,
if we
please
could.
read. One moment while we get the screen updated to where we are. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Joint Resolution 19 by Senator Jackson relative to women's reproductive health.
Senator Jackson.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, we just heard this bill on reproductive health care. Through inadvertence, one of our colleagues would like an opportunity to revote. And again, this measure comes back to us on concurrence. With that, I would ask for your aye vote.
Please call the roll.
Allen. Aye Anderson. No Bates. Bell. Aye Berryhill. No Block. Aye Canella. De Leon. Fuller. No Gaines. No Galgiani. Aye Glazer. Aye Hall. Aye Hancock. Aye Hernandez. Aye Hertzberg. I Hill, I Wisso, I Huff, Jackson, I Lada, Leno, I Leva, I Liu, I McGuire, I Mendoza, I Mitchell, I Monning, I Morlock, Morrell, no Wynn, no Nielsen, no Pan, I Pavley, I Roth, I Runner, Stone, no Vidak, Wykowski, I Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Call the absent members.
Bates, no. Canella, De Leon, Huff, Lada, Morlock, no. Runner, Vidak. Vidak, no. Huff, no.
Call the absent members.
Canella, De Leon, Lada, Runner.
Call the absent members.
Canella, De Leon, Lada, I, Runner.
Ayes 25, noes 12. The Assembly amendments are concurred in. Returning to Senate third reading. File item 22. Senator Nielsen. Pass on file. File item 23, SB 977. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 977 by Senator Pan, an act relating to tobacco.
Senator Pan.
Thank you, Madam President. Senators, today I bring to you a bill that was brought to me by the St. Elizabeth's Ann Seton School 8th grade class in my district. SB 977 is a measure that protects our state's youth and promotes public health by prohibiting the use of tobacco products within 250 feet of an organized youth sporting event. Youth sports events should promote healthy habits for children, but current law doesn't ensure a healthy, smoke-free environment for our young athletes. Secondhand smoke increases the risk of asthma, lung infection, and ear disease, among other serious health conditions, and children are far more sensitive to these negative health effects. Tobacco use near youth sports events endangers California's children and jeopardizes the ideal of youth sports as healthy spaces for children. The state of California has long recognized the dangers of secondhand smoke and led the nation in public health policy when it banned smoking in closed work environments in 1995. California also addressed the public damage caused by secondhand smoke in 2004 with AB 846 by Vargas, which banned smoking within 20 feet of an entrance or operable building, a window of a public building. Allowing use of tobacco products near youth sports events encourages young people to take up smoking themselves. 90% of adult smokers began while in their teens or earlier, and 2/3 became regular daily smokers before they reached the age of 19. Tobacco use is the #1 cause of preventable death in the United States and around the world. And in California, tobacco-related diseases claimed over 40,000 lives each year and cost taxpayers $18.1 billion annually, or $487 for each resident each year. Tobacco kills 480,000 people each year in the United States, more than the total number killed by alcohol, motor vehicles, homicide, illegal drugs, and suicide combined. It is imperative that we protect our youth and set an example by not allowing use of tobacco products near youth sports. I respectfully ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion or debate on this measure? Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Allen.
I'm sorry. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. Senator Bates, forgive me, I didn't see you. Senator Bates.
Thank you, Madam President. While I believe that the purpose here is an important cause, a noble one, however, the members, the residents in the 36th Senate District, many of them, their homes border sports fields based on the way our community was developed. And for that reason, I believe the 250 feet is a little too large or constricting, and I would ask the senator from the Sacramento area to consider that as an amendment going forward. Take into consideration that people do have activities in their backyard, perhaps watching those very games, but they would be put in a position of violating the law, and I think there should be consideration given to them because their homes were designed that way to accommodate actually a more intense development in many areas. So with that, I will not be able to support this today. I will be voting no.
Thank you. Senator Pan, would you like to close?
Again, I appreciate that particular issue. We're having continuing conversations with folks about some of the similar issues that we plan to take on into the Assembly. But again, I think the underlying issue is that we need to create a healthy environment for our youth in their organized youth sports activities, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Allen? Anderson? No. Bates? No. Bell? Aye. Berryhill? Aye. Block? Aye. Canella? Aye. De Leon? Fuller? No. Gaines? No. Galgioni? Aye. Glazer? Aye. Hall? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Hernandez? Aye. Hertzberg? Aye. Hill? Aye. Wesso? Aye. Huff? No. Jackson? Aye. Latta? Aye. Leno? Aye. Leva? Aye. Liu? Aye. McGuire? Aye. Mendoza? Mitchell? Aye. Monning? Aye. Morlock? Morrell? Wynn? Aye. Nilsson? Aye. Pan? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Roth? Aye. Runner? Stone? Aye. Vidak? Wykowski? Aye. Wolk? Wolk, aye.
Please call the absent members.
Allen? Aye. De Leon? Mendoza? Aye. Morlock? Aye. Morrell? Runner? Vidak? Aye.
Ayes 32, noes 5. The measure passes. File item 24. Senator Hill? Pass on file. File item 25. Senator Hueso? Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 1055 by Senator Hueso, an act relating to telecommunications.
Senator Hueso.
Thank you, Madam President and members. For those of you interested in cutting bureaucracy and reducing the size of government, you're going to love this bill. I rise to present SB 1055. It's a bill that would delete from the Public Utilities Code the Payphone Services Providers Committee and the Payphone Services Committee Fund, both which no longer exist. There's no reason for this law to exist anymore. The committee was established back in 1999 at the time when roughly 100,000 payphones existed in the state. Since then, the use of mobile devices, particularly cell phones, has dramatically reduced our reliance on payphones. So there is no need to have this arm of government to supervise an industry that is virtually non-existent. The CPUC's public policy payphone program was abolished by the Commission in 2008, and deletion of the accompanying committee and the fund was recommended at that time. I bring forward this bill to accomplish just that. Please support this bill today. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion or debate on this measure? Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen? Aye. Anderson? Aye. Bates? Aye. Bell? Aye. Berryhill? Aye. Block? Aye. Canella? Aye. De Leon? Fuller? Aye. Gaines? Aye. Galgioni? Aye. Glazer? Aye. Hall? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Hernandez? Aye. Hertzberg? Aye. Hill? Aye. Wesso? Aye. Huff? Aye. Jackson? Aye. Latta? Aye. Leno? Aye. Leva? Aye. Liu? Aye. McGuire? Aye. Mendoza? Aye. Mitchell? Aye. Monning? Aye. Morlock? Aye. Morrell? Aye. Wynn? Aye. Nilsson? Aye. Pan? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Roth? Aye. Runner? Stone? Aye. Vidak? Aye. Wykowski? Aye. Wolk? Wolk, aye.
Ayes 38, no 0. The measure passes. File item 26. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 1112 by Senator Canella, an act relating to utilities.
Senator Canella.
Thank you, Madam President. SB 1112 resolves an issue at the PUC that has occurred when small water companies are transferred or sold. In many cases, these are mom-and-pop operations, and the owners did not realize they needed prior PUC approval to make the sale. Some occurring decades ago. Under current law, these transactions are legally void. This bill avoids the legal nightmare of having to track down the original owners, some of whom are deceased, by retroactively making these small asset sales voidable instead of outright void. This bill is supported by the PUC and the California Water Association, carries no opposition, and has received unanimous bipartisan support. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, any objection to the use of unanimous roll call? Seeing none, ayes 38, no 0. The measure passes. File item 27. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 1238 by Senator Pan, enacting into prisons.
Senator Pan.
Thank you, Madam President. Senators, I rise today to present SB 1238, a bill that will allow healthcare providers in our prisons to publish and learn from non-experimental medical data or quality improvement data in order to provide higher quality health care while still protecting inmates' privacy. This bill has received unanimous bipartisan support in both the Health and Public Safety Committees. Prisons face unique and sometimes deadly health care crises. Learning from data-backed best practices helps healthcare providers meet the unique challenges of providing first-rate health care to California's more than 120,000 inmates who are disproportionately Black and Latino. Non-experimental medical data can save lives and lead us to better healthcare practices in prisons. SB 1238 would narrowly amend the penal code to specify that biomedical research does not include accumulation of statistical data and the assessment of non-experimental public health programs or treatment programs in which inmates routinely participate. This bill would permit records-based biomedical data publishing involving inmates that uses existing information but does not allow prospective interaction with human subjects, therefore would not allow experimental biomedical research in prisons, and no individually identifiable records will be used or disclosed without both approval of the Research Advisory Committee established by existing California regulations pertaining to research involving prisoners and written authorization of the prisoner or permission granted by specified provisions of the federal HIPAA regulations. SB 1238 will enable healthcare providers in prisons and jails to learn from the best practices at state correctional facilities and utilize these life-saving techniques. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, any objection to the use of unanimous roll call? Ayes 38, no 0. The measure passes. File item 28, pass on file. File item 29, Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 1298 by Senator Hertzberg, enacting into electricity.
Senator Hertzberg.
Madam President and members, this measure extends the sunset date with the CPUC's authority to do refinancing on bonds for another year. Apparently, they've got some refinancings in the pipeline. Interest rates are low, smart, thoughtful, and inexpensive thing to do. Ask for your support.
Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, any objection to the use of unanimous roll call? Ayes 38, no 0. The measure passes. File item 30, Senator McGuire. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 1302 by Senator McGuire, enacting into insurance and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Senator McGuire.
Madam President, it's great to see you this morning, colleagues. In 2015, California suffered through two destructive fires, the Valley Fire and the Butte Fire. Both blazes were among the most destructive in our state's history, and both of these disasters disrupted the lives of tens of thousands of Californians and caused over $2 billion in reportable losses of property. During these destructive wildland fires, many Californians were faced with cancellation or non-renewal of their property insurance policies. Additionally, these same folks face difficulties in obtaining new insurance coverage while being completely unaware of the Fair Access to Insurance Plan, also known as the FAIR Plan that the state of California currently offers. Senate Bill 1302 is a bipartisan, industry-supported measure. This legislation will ensure the public is made aware of the FAIR Plan by requiring insurance brokers to direct consumers to the FAIR Plan website, which is completely redone, very consumer-friendly, or walk them through the FAIR Plan over the phone. It also requires insurance brokers to assist those who have received non-renewal notices by either helping them fill out the application in person or online. It is for these reasons numerous groups, including the Consumer Federation of California, Insurance Commissioner Dave Jones, Rural County Representatives in California, the California Realtors, and, Madam President, The great senator from Stanislaus is also in support of this bill and would respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you for that. Discussion or debate? Senator Berryhill.
Yeah, Madam President, I stand in support of this bill. Listen, requiring insurance brokers to educate consumers in applying for fair plan coverage and requiring notices of cancellation and renewal to include reference to the Fair Plan website is a no-brainer. Not only is it really important for the victims of these fires this last year, but with the tree mortality that we're looking at in this upcoming year, there's going to be major wildfires again. And for those folks and those victims in the mountains today, this is a very important bill to educate them on what they can and can't do. So I urge an aye vote.
Thank you, sir. Any other discussion or debate? Seeing none, any objection to the use of unanimous roll call? Ayes 38, no 0 on the urgency. Ayes 38, no 0. The measure passes. File item 31. Senator Wolf, pass on file. File item 32. Senator Pavley. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 1331 by Senator Pavley, enacting to professions and vocations.
Senator Pavley.
Yes, thank you very much, members. Senate Bill 1331 is sponsored by the California Council for the Blind and will make 3 important reforms to the state guide dog board in an effort to improve services to guide dog users and their service dogs. Just by way of background, the Pavley family's raised 4 guide dogs for the blind, and we have a dog that needed a career change back at home who didn't quite make it. So it's been a really wonderful project for our family, especially the kids when they were growing up. First, this bill seeks to increase the membership of actual guide dog users on the state board and require one of the guide dog users to be a member of the National Federation of the Blind of California and another to be a member of the California Council of the Blind. We just wanted to make sure that there's some consistency, that there's always adequate representation on the board, familiar to people on the board who are actual guide dog users. Second, this bill requires the development of a fact sheet explaining the role of the board and requires its distribution to all graduates of California guide dog schools. Currently, many guide dog users are unfamiliar with the board's services. Many have no computer access or limited web searching skills, making it very difficult for them to navigate the board's website and find out what exactly the board does in their role and how they can be of assistance. Lastly, the bill allows an out-of-state school to provide limited follow-up services in California if the school provided the original training to the California resident and dog and is certified by the International Guide Dog Federation and notifies the state guide dog board of their arrival in California. Additional amendments when working with the guide dog board taken in the Senate Business and Professions Committee authorized the board to refuse any personnel who have committed certain violations of law. Just last week, we got some additional suggested amendments from the Guide Dog Board. We look forward to working with them as this bill moves through the Assembly. Ask for your aye vote. This bill is supported by the National Federation of the Blind, the International Guide Dog Federation, and numerous other organizations. Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Any discussion or debate on the measure? Any discussion or debate? Any objection to the use of unanimous roll call? Ayes 38, no 0. The measure passes. File item 33, Senator Nielsen.